Okay, hello. I'm drinking coffee. I was really sleepy. I was having heat. Hi, Cameron. Yes. Hi, Maddie. Hi, Paul. Get that a bit bigger. My poor eyes. Yes, they are. I shall talk about that in a moment. I thought I would somehow weave it into my intro because it's an interesting thing. Okay. Excuse me. That's my coffee. Try and wake up a little bit. Get through the 40 degrees. Oh, welcome to my world. Oh, hi, Steve. Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to talk about that. I might talk about it later. I want to talk about something else. Excuse me. Need some caffeine. Once I get through the froth. I don't know about spiritual glamour. I'm saying that because we were talking about it the other day. I read a book years ago. A book I actually found in a Buddhist library in Nepal by Alice Bailey called Spiritual Glamour. It's all about being spiritual as a fashion, really, as a egoistic, really, to look like you're something special, which is insane. Which leads me on to the fires. We're going to talk about the fires. So for the last 3 days, this is day 3. It's nearly over now. So helicopters are still going backwards and forwards. Behind me, there's this mountain covered in trees, and well, it was covered in trees, and it went on fire, right? And it started over the other side, and it crept up and it crept over, and then it came down our side and spread out. It spread out to, like, I don't know, 10 miles or something. Houses burning on the edge of town, and there was hot ash falling from the sky. It was like it was snowing ash. The skies were red and black and brown. Everything smelled like a bonfire. There's coughing happening. We even had to get ready to be evacuated. So I packed a bug-out bag. And it's the worst bug-out bag ever. It's completely useless. I packed baby photos and hard drives and one pair of underwear. That's all I packed. And passport and stuff like that. Completely useless. But I took the things which are irreplaceable. So there was this wildfire going on. The town is catching fire, and they're giving emergency warnings and evacuation warnings and all this sort of stuff. And for me, it was fascinating. I felt no fear, no panic. I felt amazingly calm and more like fascinated, really. Excuse me, sorry. So hot. And these situations are very close to my heart, and they're close to my heart. I'm going to share a few things with you, perhaps. I don't know what, but I feel it coming up. When there's something like that happens, and it's kind of quite big, what it reminds me of and which is important to me, is the fact is that this situation, this experience, or for want of a better word, immersion experience, is temporary. It's temporary. It's not going to last long. We all know, because, you know, it felt like yesterday when we were teenagers and in our 20s and whatever. And when life is so temporary like that, it's like, well, why not just go for it? You know, why not just go for it? Why do we sit around moaning and groaning and complaining and worrying and criticizing and blaming? And it's a waste of life. I don't normally talk like this. Well, I do that sort of. I hint on it, but so you know, I wanted to talk about things that I do, which I don't normally share. Sometimes I have a big fuck it going on. You know, fuck it. When something keeps being insistent, I just like, fuck it. Life is precious. Life is precious. This life is precious. And it's wild. It's magical. There's a poem actually by Barry Long called Wild, 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 Wild Life. And I'm not going to read it because it's too long to read. But it's a great poem. And he talks about wild forest fires, eating through men's lovely gardens and doing all these very destructive things. Hi, John. And he says, and it's something that I've used, he says, hear you not my symphony? Hear you not my symphony? And he's speaking like as if as the creator of this. We don't really know who's the creator. We don't even know if we're the creators. We just don't know. But there is a creation, and this is the creation. This is it, right here, right now, happening. Forests burning behind me, you know, happening right now. This is. I can see the ash falling outside my window, and this is life's symphony. Whatever it is, whether it's a burning wildfire or whether it's just sitting around in your garden looking at the sky, it's a symphony. And rather than hearing the symphony, we sit there like, okay, I'm going to make it sound insulting, sit there like little gremlins, moaning and groaning and criticizing and feeling miserable. In the non-dual narrative, that would be like, oh, well, it's just what's happening. Yeah, it is, but why? What? Doesn't have to be like that. Doesn't have to be like that at all. I don't sit around feeling miserable at all. But I remember sitting around feeling miserable. And a lot of me, and I think when I broke through that, it was a big fuck it. Because this is the life. This is the life. Not out there being all the things. There's always going to be something to moan about and criticize and complain about. We can complain for years and years and years and not do anything about it, of course. Just moan and groan and little potato people. When life is wild like the forest fire, wild like the sky, wild like the morning sun, and the rain, the heat, the 40 degrees heat, hot, sizzling heat, dangerous even. And the danger of the fire to me was beautiful, beautiful. And I went up to the top of the hill yesterday, right to the edge of town, onto the edge of the forest. The fire was further enough away not to, you know, burn me. But I went up there to watch it. And it was late and it was dark. And it was crazy wild. It was just these fires just taken off trees, just explode, almost exploding, just flaring up, and it was creeping down the hill towards us. It was amazing. So there's sparks flying everywhere, and there was fire starting over here, and another fire would start over there, and there'd be a sparks flying there, another tree going up. I just sat there and I was just like, wow, life is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's gonna kill us all. So why not? Why sit there like little potato heads, you know? Just hear the symphony. I'm the symphony, you're the symphony, it's all the symphony. I don't bother with this, like, oh, you know, there's no one to hear a symphony. It's absolute nonsense. There's a symphony happening right here. The heart's beating, the skin is sweating, the passion is pounding in my heart as I speak, as I think of these things. The coffee's beckoning me to drink it. It's close to my heart, the wildness of life. And that's why I do this, despite the criticism that comes my way sometimes. I don't do this to be anyone, be important. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in being the wild, wild life, to enjoying the wild life, to just be, in all its facets. Just sit there grumbling, not doing anything about it, or worrying, or when am I going to get it garbage, you know? I am it. You are it. There's only you as a living experience. There's only you who is life for you. No one else. Everyone else has their own little universes. And we'll never enter into those universes. The forest fire is going to get everybody. So it might as well just press the big fuck it button and just enjoy the ride. Enjoy it. Because it's short and it's beautiful and it's wild. Sitting there worrying if life's going to improve. Life is perfect as it is. The only problem is sitting there thinking it's going to improve. If you've got no money and you're sitting there thinking, I've got no money, then fuck it, it doesn't matter. That's that saying, what I resist persists. I've never got any money. You know, it's not a problem. It just is what it is. There's no point thinking about it. Thinking about it and worrying about it is not going to bring any money. And life takes care of it all anyway. I get some money here, a little bit comes in here, and I'll sell a couple of paintings, and there we go. It's just happening. I can't make any decisions about anything. But I can see that there's two modes in this life. One of it is just the wildlife, the wild, 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 wild life, tearing through our lovely gardens. Or there's being Mr. Potato Head, watching the news and grumbling and moaning and, you know, thinking that this is all real and it's going to last forever. None of it's really real because it's going to end. That shows me it's not real. Something real lasts forever and this doesn't. The day doesn't last forever. The heat doesn't last forever. And the forest doesn't last forever. Most of it's gone. It's just a charred remains, except for the lower bit. So we've got a bit of forest left, unless I'm pretty sure they're going to put it out. It's nearly out. It's nearly out. They stop doing anything when it gets dark. So I don't know why that is, but there we go. Another thing that's close to my heart is fearlessness. Fear is a contagion bred by appearances, bred by society, family, friends, media, society generally. It's bred, it's a breeding ground, it's like a petri dish. I'm afraid I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to get there. I'm not going to succeed. I'm not going to get over it. I'm not going to do this. Da, 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 da. Fear. It's pointless. It's just completely useless. It doesn't do anything. It's just, I mean, what is life for if it's not to live it? I know that, I know all the narratives. Oh, there's no one to live it. Who's living it? Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's neither here nor there, because it just is. It's just here, it is right here. I have to think about someone or I have to think about no one to enter into that narrative. It's just part of the petri dish of narrative, of societal narrative. Just dump it. Throw the petri dish in the bin. It doesn't serve anything, doesn't do anything. Life is free. It's just thoughts and beliefs that make us think that we're not free. That I'm not free. I can't enjoy my life until I get this thing, or until this happens, or until the world changes and there's world peace. Has there ever been world peace? And are we going to wait for world peace? I'm not going to wait for world peace. I'm not going to wait for anything. There's nothing to wait for anyway. It's all just a narrative that never comes to fruition. Sitting there waiting to see the truth, to get a realization, to hope that the government's better, or whatever it is. It's all in the head. It's not here in this room, sitting here in this heat with ash raining down outside. I was walking through the street the other day, and it was so ashy that my eyes were red raw. Like, it was so, it just made me laugh, It's just, wow, you just don't know how things are going to be. Things just are as they are. We look for perfection, and it's already perfect. How can it be anything else? It might not be perfectly in the mind's way of thinking as perfect. The mind way of thinking perfect is societal. Or we learn it of teachers, parents, television. God, television, what a place to learn anything from. We look at this person or that person and say, well, they're doing it. They're doing it. But they're just pixels on a screen like I am. I'm not there in that room. It's just you there. Just you. There's nothing else there. And you're the entirety of the whole of existence. Being the wildlife. These tight little narratives. Moany, groany narratives. Stuff it. Nothing is worth living a half life. Nothing. Nothing is worth serving. that means I live a half life. Like this thing here that Steve says, spiritual glamour. I could enter into two narratives about that. I could moan about other speakers and how they're so egotistical. Or I could just say, screw it. It just doesn't matter. An eloquent call to arms, yes! A call to life. A call to life, a call to arms, you know? Nothing is worth living a little life for. Nothing. Because it's going to end. 2 days ago, I wasn't sure if I'd even possibly have a house. It's like, okay. Got a bit of photographs on my hard drive and my rucksack and the cat bag and some cat food. Cat food for me. Just the box of cat food. Ah. Doesn't matter what you're doing either. It doesn't matter how it seems to the outside world, you know. It doesn't matter what it looks like to the so-called world. Whether you're a sweep the streets for a living or whether you doesn't matter what it is you do. None of it has any relevance to the beauty of life. None of it. Nothing is more important than just the being of life. None of it. I understand how hard it is to break free of it all, you know? I was really, you know, I get caught up in things sometimes. But I see that it's becomes a burden. It becomes a narrowing of the tunnel. Life gets narrower and narrower. All you can think about and talk about is just this one bloody thing. And it's easy to break free from things. Anything, really. You just break away from it. It's as simple as that. There's no process involved in it. You just see that it's a tired old thing. It's a tired old piece of clothing. I'm just going to bin it. You might dance around as a ghost going, wear me, wear me. But no, you're an ugly old jumper and I don't want to wear you. You're an ugly old jumper that makes me look terrible, makes me feel terrible. I'm 55 now. Well over half my life has gone. Well over. They say it's middle age, but it's not. It's not actually the middle. I don't know how long I'll live. I might not get through next week. It doesn't matter. But it's gone in a flash. Disappeared into nothing. Never really existed. Gone. Poof. Like today will be just poof in smoke. Just be a thought, if I even think about it. Life is precious. Your life is precious. It's the only thing that really is. Anyway, I'm going to stop now. That's 25 minutes of me calling to arms. You know, and in this, you don't have to love yourself. God, loving yourself. I mean, what even is that? Another, you know, Another idea. I don't need to love myself. I don't love myself. I don't even know what I am. I don't even know if this is life or death or in between or a dimension, or I have no idea what this is. I don't need to love myself. Oh, unstable connection. Yeah, well, I do have an unstable connection. Most of the world would lock me up if they could see inside my head. But I'm not interested in the world. The world's going to do what the world does. It's going to moan and complain, buy into the latest, fear. Oh my God, my neighbors this week. Oh my God. Like I was getting text. Fear. And I was sitting here going, wow, this is amazing. I've never experienced a forest fire before. It's my first experience of one. Everyone running around like headless chickens. Well, that's fine. That's up to them. I don't care. Do what they want. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to buy into it. Because next week there's going to be something else to run around like a headless chicken too. There's always going to be something. Forever and ever and ever. When you think of all the eras of this life, Cold War, hiding under desks as kids, practicing for nuclear arms. That's what we did when we were kids. CND, Iraq War, you name it. It's always seemed so important at the time. And guess what? It moves on to another thing. There's always something in this world to keep us distracted away from the wild forest fire burning through everything. Burning through men's lovely gardens. Hear you not my symphony? No, because I'm too busy, worrying about something I saw on the news, or what someone said, or what this person's doing, what that person's doing. I know it sounds harsh, what I'm saying, but that's just how I live my life, and I like to share that. I like to share it, and if some people might like it too, I might stir them to think, fuck it, nothing is worth living a half life. Oh man, this is so good. Something beautiful happens, and it might take time for it to happen, but something beautiful happens when the narratives are all dropped. All the gripes and groans and snarks and grumpkins just go by the wayside. And that is that anything can come through from the character. Anything. Anything. You suddenly find yourself interested in other things. or just sitting there, just enjoying life. Like it's like the old world dies. And this world is old now. It's old, it's tired. That's why everyone's so tired. The weight of the world on their shoulders. You sound like Jack Kerouac in On the Road. Totally changed my life when I was 18. Oh, I don't know this person. Jack Kerouac. On the Road. Is that a movie? I'm gonna copy it and I might check it out. What's this? Oh, my cat. Where should I put it? I'll put it here. Beat Generation. Oh. You see, I think that one thing that never really changes in everybody, really, even when it's underneath the like massive narratives, is the desire to be free. Everybody knows that there's something wonderful and something indescribable. Everybody knows it. Everybody feels it. We get so bogged down in this world, thinking it's important. It's not important because it's all gonna end, and all the narratives end, and it all ends. Ends every time we go to sleep. Ends when we exit it, or whatever happens. So nothing's important. The desire to just live. Yes! The desire to just live. Just live. Without adding anything to it. That feeling of wanting to just burst out and just live. Trouble is, the mind thinks like this thing over here, this little squirming little grump snarkin is more important than the desire to live. I think that's why people like take on all these spiritual narratives. It promises this feeling that we all have in us. It promises that it will bring it out or it'll look a certain way. But it's always there. We all know it and we all feel it. That innate sense of just life. It's innate in everybody. It's nothing special. It's not a spiritual awakening or enlightenment. It's actually the natural state, or it's just natural. What we are fundamentally, just life, human beings. The trouble is, the spiritual teachings, it's just like there's only a few that have got this amorphous, mysterious thing. Go back to spiritual glamour there. That's a spiritual glamour right there, isn't it? I've got it and you don't. There's just everybody's life. Otherwise, there wouldn't be anybody here. And this is all the things are just part of the life. It's all just this one life happening. There's no separation in it. It's just natural. Ordinary in the way it looks. but without all this little potato head narrative. It's just so small and so miserable. Poor me, I haven't got to know me yet. Or poor me, I haven't found myself yet. Poor me, I don't love myself. All this stuff that, poor me, I don't have any, I don't know, or whatever. These narratives, it's the desire to have something wonderful, but really it's just the desire to live, just the desire to be natural, to be free. And we are already free. It's just that there's these beliefs that make us think we're not. Make us think we're just these walking sacks of meat walking around. I mean, non-duality is just as guilty. Oh, it's just no meaningless, nothing, purposeless, just nothing. There is no one. It's just bags of meat walking around. Well, I don't find it like that. There's a beauty to there's a beauty. There's that desire to live. It's just good. It's just good. It's just good. Lovely. Sweet. Innocent. Just is. It just is. My cat here keeps he's on the chair opposite me and keeps patting my leg with his paw. He's good. Not good as in the Christian good, virtue good, virtuous good, not that. What's that quote, Steve, from the Tao Te Ching about virtue? It's a good one. You might be here. I don't know if you're here. It's a good one. Not talking about that good. Just the goodness of life, the goodness of what is. It's just good. It was very good. I'm going to go back. Once I've finished, it takes about 20-minute loads. But I'll be banging tonight. Welcome, Faye. Freaky and weird. Oh, I like it. Aren't we? Yeah, aren't we all freaking weird in a way? What a weird place we find ourselves in. Don't know about you guys, but do you ever like wake up and go, wow, how weird it is being here? How did it happen? How did I wake up? How do I find myself walking down the road and freaky, but great? I guess there's nothing to ask about that intro, is there really? Is that why everybody's quiet tonight? uh, oh, next week is Zoom, by the way. So for anybody who's unsure, it starts half an hour earlier, but I will put the links in Patreon. And if you can't make it, I post the audio of it afterwards. I don't get anything to ask because I feel a bit like I feel like after that I'm just. Oh, I liked your intro, the fiery talk. Yeah, I know. I think it's all the fire. You see, it's brought out the fire in me. I'm a fire sign. If you're into that sort of stuff, a double fire sign. So maybe that's why I like the fire so much. You know that passion for life is beautiful. You know, we all have it in one way or another. We just get bogged down with ideas about what life should be. Life shouldn't really be anyway, should it? It just is. And it's wonderful. And it's wild. It's freaky and weird. Because what else is there to do, you know? What else is there to do? There's two choices. Wild, wild life, beautiful. Yeah, yeah. There's only like being bogged down with narratives and thoughts and beliefs and waiting and hoping and trying and wishing, or just being life. Because it's, you know, there is life happening, but there's also the living of life happens too. The living of life happens. You know, we just gonna walk around like thinking about, oh, I wish I'd got it, wish I had it, wish I had this, oh, no, when just it's life is wild all the time. Of course, yes, please do. There was a lull for a while because please do. I love the interaction. I'm only usually meant to do 10 minutes intro, but I went on for 30 minutes there. My doctor told me I have to diet, but somehow Advaita doesn't not help me here. Advaita doesn't help with anything. Just you need to go on a diet. Just go on a diet. It's like saying my doctor told me I have to drink more water, but Advaita doesn't help me. You just drink the water. Unless you don't want to go on a diet, you know. Advaita doesn't help anything. There's no help. To quote Cameron, which I do quote him quite a lot, nothing helps. Nothing helps. Life is. And if you're going to go on a diet, you're just going to diet. It's no big deal. It's like my friend tells me I smell and I need to have a shower, but Advaita doesn't help me. You know, it's like maybe I should have a shower, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just not have a shower. You know, it's just no one here to stick to a diet. It just you either stick to the diet or not. I don't think it's about being someone or no one. It just is. You just are. You just are. You need. Well, you got to look for it for yourself. I mean, don't believe me. For God's sake, don't believe anyone. Don't believe anyone when it comes to this sort of stuff. You have to see everything for yourself. Is there someone here to go on a diet, or is there no one here to go on a diet? What about neither? What about it just is, there's just being, it's happening, it's being, I'm being, there's being here, there's being, it is. And you either go on a diet or you don't. It's not really a decision. I don't know if they're decisions or not. I don't know. I don't make decisions personally. It just, I see something might need to happen and I either do it or I don't. You know. Yeah, I mean, you'll either stick to a diet or you won't. You know. No. Just don't feel bad about it. Just don't feel bad. Screw it, you know? You weren't here at the beginning when I was talking about my town. The forest behind me has been on fire. It's nearly out now, but it's been on fire for 3 days, and it was pretty bad. It was bad, and you know what? Life is too wild to worry about anything. Life is wild, and it's short. It's temporary. You know, when the moment comes, there's going to be dying. Dying will probably happen. And everything will be a blink of an eye. It'll be meaningless. Maybe. In the moment, all the things I thought were important will become meaningless. Suddenly my life will become very meaningful. Like, oh wow, life. Yeah. You either go on a diet or you won't. There you go. Like, I should probably do more exercise. I'm quite lazy when it comes to that. And but I'm not going to worry about it or make any decisions about it. I'm just not gonna, because it makes no difference. I'll either find myself doing exercise or I won't. Probably not, actually. But you never know. Suddenly, that might just happen. You just don't know. Doesn't matter anyway. Like with mattering, things matter when they matter, you know? These things come and go. We have to live in this. We have to live. We have to live, and things come and go, you know? There's things we've got to do, annoying things, good things. They're just things in the end. But it's all just life happening. It's all just the one life. And it's the life, the being, the isness, which is through it all, like one field of being or life. I don't have the words for it. There are no words for it. There's no words for the sense of life or is. There's no words for that. There's no narrative for it either. You know, I don't really enjoy narratives. I don't enjoy definitives. I don't enjoy answers. Answers are useless because they're never an answer. There's no answer. You can't have an answer anyway to get to this. There's no answer. But there also is the human intelligence can also see that, as I was saying in the beginning, all the moaning and groaning and waiting and wanting and wishing is just completely pointless and ridiculous and doesn't serve anything. It's just caught up in a narrative. There's no me to drop. There's no me to reach. That's just sitting here. That's it. Easy. Simple. You don't have to do anything. You can't do anything. I can't get more here than I already am. Even if my mind was swamped with worry, I still can't get any closer to being here. It's impossibility. Thank goodness. Thank goodness that I don't have to do anything. But at the same time, I do have the intelligence to see that default negative programming, which is, part of our upbringing, part of our immersion into this appearance, into this matrix or whatever this place is not true. It's not true. It's not happening here now. It's not actually happening. It's all in the mind, all of it. All the idea of I'm going to get somewhere, I'm not going to get somewhere. It's meaningful, it's meaningless. All in the mind. Narrowing confinements. When there's no confinement in this, there's no confinement here. It's absolutely beyond comprehension. Life happening. It's beyond comprehension. As soon as we have an answer or an idea, it's puts a clamps it into a set of ideals, concepts. Makes everything boring. Then the concepts have to be defended. And then there's wanting and trying, and then there's trying to get back what I've lost, and all this stuff. When you can't confine, it's impossible to confine what is being, life. It's impossible to confine it. Only the mind confines it. Makes it dull. Dulls it. Watched a YouTube video called The Last Druid. Hey, I've seen that video. After all his knowledge and long apprenticeship, his main message seemed to be, we have to say yes to life. That was a really interesting video, that. I don't know how I came across it. And it's funny that you've watched it too, because it's a really quite an obscure little video. He was an interesting guy, huh? Apparently his daughter has his library of books, the last druid of his order, like 3,000-year-old order. Crazy. Imagine the books he had. After everything, all you have to do is just say yes to life. Yeah, for want of better words. Because I am life, this is life, and there's nothing else. Everything else is just comes and goes. It was interesting that he said that the those ancient stone, what they thought were burial chambers or grain stores, were actually bomb shelters against the cataclysms. And it was interesting. I know I'm going to finish in a minute, but it was interesting. I don't know if I said this before. I may have. That Darwin, the Darwinian theory was his earlier theories. And what they did is they took that earlier theory and made it into what we now see as the theory of life, which is theory of evolution, let's say. Well, actually, he scrapped that theory early on, and he after his study, he saw that the history of the world is actually a history of cataclysms. It's not an evil. It's not a steady evolution, which I think is fascinating. Really fascinating. I might watch that again now. The Last Druid. Jason Brashears. Oh, you watch him too. Archaics. I love Jason Brashears. Wow, there's not many. There's not many people I know. Well, I don't. Well, I know maybe one other person listens to Jason Brashears. But you're the first person I've met who's listens to Jason Brashears without me telling them about it. He's fascinating. Fascinating. The Phoenix event. Yeah, I love all that because it's just magical. I love the magical, the wonder, the wildness of it all. I don't see any of it as being any sort of, yeah, I love Jason. Oh, wow, that's so interesting. He's done with his podcast, isn't he, for a while? I was hoping he'd be done with his podcast. I was like, oh, come on, Jason, just give us the juice, man. Give us your research. If anyone doesn't know, there's this guy called Jason Brashears. He was in prison for 27 years, and he spent most of that time researching old history out of print history books and correlating it all together to come up with all these different theories about what the world is, what time is, all these things, all these amazing things, and he's really great. He's really great, and he's very entertaining and interesting guy. Interesting guy. Yeah, Texan guy. Anyway, I'm going to go now, and yeah, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoyed the talk. It was a bit quite wild at the beginning. And have a good week, everyone. And I'll see hopefully some of you for Zoom next week. That would be really great. And lots of love. Bye. Thanks, guys.